Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Triforce podcast. That's right, where we share with you the everyday stories where me, P-Flax, and Seeps share with you our experience of what's happened in our lives this week, which for me is very little.
Right, okay.
You've basically summed up the podcast over the last, 5 years we've been doing this?
You're never going to compete with Flax, who's had the snip anyway, though, right?
So. That's true. That's true.
Oh, the sore balls. How they recover?
Sore balls.
So, shall I tell you about the procedure?
Sure.
So, Mrs. F had... we drove over there. Mrs. F had to drive me back, so she came with. And
right.
I was expecting it to take a while, but it took like 20 minutes. They called me in. The doctor was very big. He was a huge German man. He was about 6'5".
Right.
Wow.
And he was quite brusque because, of course, he's doing a lot of them that day. And whilst this is kind of, painful and uncomfortable and troubling for you, the patient, you're just number one. And he's got I think he was doing 12 that day. So, he was like, let's get on with it. So they take you in a warm room so your ball sack relaxes. And
get your balls out, sir.
Yeah,
right.
It was him and a nurse, and the nurse was very nice. He was just all business. And so I'm lying there on the bed, and I just pull my pants down. And when I was a young man, I would have been humiliated. But by this point, I'm just like, yeah, fine. So I'm just like half naked, lying on a bed, no trouble. And they put the thing over you. And then, I don't know what he's doing. He's tugging on my balls and like all around your groin, trying to get all the cables like lined up and all the rest of it. Because I guess it's like, when you put your headphones in your pocket and then you pull them out. And no matter how long they've been in there for, they're like a tangled mess. I know there's some equation for figuring out how fucking tangled cable's going to be. It's like that. So you got all these cables down there. There's like loads, blood vessels. And
is there?
There's loads. Like it's like not just like if you feel down there in your
you can feel like there's a lot of like plumbing down there.
There's all sorts of plumbing. It's like a mess of cable.
Yeah. There's
God knows what's going on down there, but there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
So he's
needs
like
some management.
Yeah. He's like tugging and pulling. So imagine someone like right up against your balls, like pushing really hard and pulling, and I'm going, and the nurse is like, "Are you all right? This shouldn't be hurting." I was like, "Well, it's uncomfortable." And he's still tugging away.
On my balls.
And I'm just like, "Ugh." And she was like, "Well, what's the pain you're feeling?" I was like, "Well, someone pulling on my balls." Like,
I need a woman's touch down there, I think.
He was going in there like an electrician. So he's like,
I'm used to people using their tongue.
Exactly.
Maybe
if he put them in his mouth for a little bit, it would be better. So he's tugging away, and in the end, she's like, "Are you all right?" And he says, "Maybe we should stop. Maybe we have a big baby." That's what he said.
Whoa.
And I was like, no. I said, ignore me. You guys just crack on and do what you got to do, and I'll just be grunting over here because it's uncomfortable. So I'm sort of, and then they give me they inject you right in your ball sack, which you think is going to be awful, but it was not that bad.
Had he lubed up your balls with the local anesthetic at this time?
That was the local. So the injection is
so you
in
wouldn't
your balls.
really feel it with the local.
No. But I mean, you feel the injection, but then once he gets to work doing the actual vasectomy, you don't feel a thing.
Right.
Just some light tugging, which is fine.
Additional tugging, man. Yes. This guy loves to fucking.
He's a tugger. He's a tugger.
I don't like the mocking tone. That's not what I expect from a doctor.
No. But I think in his mind, like. A lot of blokes, are going to be nervous, I think, because it's your balls, right? And, it's potentially, you're like, shit. In my day today, I try to avoid anything bad happening to my balls. That's pretty much, I think, most men's days are planned out around that.
Right.
Trying to avoid anything happening. So here's a guy who's not only tugging on them, he's then going to cut them open and do things.
That's his day to day. That's his bread and butter. He wakes up, he tugs on men's balls, he cuts their he looks for the right tube in the cable management mess, snips it.
So to him, this is no big deal.
Pushes him out the door, and it's the next man drops his trousers.
Exactly.
And that guy hasn't shaved his balls, and this guy's got really tangled cable management.
Oh my god, it's
and
a
that
nightmare.
one's all dusty, and they need some canned air to like spray around.
You know what I think they could do to make a lot of blokes feel more comfortable is instead of just having one doctor have like 3 blokes standing around in overalls commenting on the job while it's going on and saying, nah, mate, no, you got to take it out around the back, and then we'll have to get another part for this. It won't be another week, and then you can talk about everyone can stand around with their hands on their hips whilst it's happening. I think that's a more natural thing. Because for example, the work that's going on in the house behind me, which you might be able to pick up in the background, I've closed the window to try to let it go.
This is a very suburban thing.
Yeah, but there's 3 lads out there working on doing the garden patio for the house behind me. And they're all doing that hands on hips. Oh, mate, we got to do is like that. They've been doing that all morning, drinking cups of tea and standing around hands on hips talking about stuff. I think if vasectomies and medical procedures on that area involved men standing around with their hands on their hips more, we'd all feel a lot more comfortable.
I think so, yeah.
Right, yeah, I suppose.
But as it is, I'm just saying, just get a bunch of lads in. 2 of them could just stand there drinking tea, and the other.
Or do you mean like just small talk around it? Like,
yeah, exactly. Make it feel like you do.
So did you have was the nurse standing next to you the whole time, just chatting to you while it was happening? Yeah, I had the same thing when I went in for my biopsy. Like, this guy's just wailing away back there on my ass, and she's just like, "Oh, so where are your family from and stuff?" And you're like, I don't really want to talk right now. I'm too busy wincing and worrying about my ass. Like,
well, she was like, "What do you do for a living?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know if you would hear about it." I told them I was a streamer because they got it out of me eventually. And then he was like, "You are not the first streamer we've had through here." And I thought, fair enough. I wasn't trying to big myself up, buddy. He was very like that.
Streamers are always having testicles removed.
You're thinking of a different type of streamer, and then you just start free flow pissing while he's working on your balls.
Oh,
that must happen.
It's gotta happen. Yeah, must happen. Like the nerves or something, right?
Yeah.
When you're numb, maybe like he accidentally numbs you too much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen. I have something to say about all this. Not to diminish anything that you've been through, Flex, because I know like any procedures or whatever. But it's reminded me that my wife told me the other day the baby had a nice midday nap. She was watching some TV and she started watching this show that was on Channel 4 called, I think it's called Know Your Shit. Okay. I think that's what the name of it is, and it's one of those ones. Channel 4 always has these fucking shows, right? Like How Clean Is Your House?
Right.
Where they always end up analyzing people's poop in a Tupperware container.
Oh my God, it's got to happen at some point.
So this show is, I think, they've just done away with the How Clean Is Your House bit, and they've just gone on to let's analyze people's poops in a Tupperware container. And my wife was like, she was floored. She was just like, I can't believe what some people have to go through in terms of like their general bowel health. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, well, like how sometimes you get constipated or wherever and you think it's like the worst thing that has ever happened. You can't imagine life not being constipated. It's like, yeah, all the time, like I feel pretty sorry for myself. She's like, well, imagine being so constipated that you have to reach into your own ass with your fingers and pull a shit out. I was like, come on, there's nobody on earth that has to do that. She's like, well, I just saw it on this show. Like multiple people have had to do that. And I just thought to myself, I would just want to be dead at that point in my life if I was actually having to like put my fingers in my ass and pull shit out of my ass because I wasn't able to just push it out naturally or whatever.
This makes me wish I hadn't had a chocolate muffin for breakfast. Do you know what I mean?
I feel so like I know it's not me, but you feel vulnerable, right? To think that one day maybe
that could happen.
I know. Oh, and what about those people where there's like a mix up and when they throw up, poop comes out and stuff? Like, oh my God, man, I don't know. Diet is everything, and with a lot of these problems, it was just traced back to poor diet.
Well, yeah, if you eat badly, you're gonna be pooping.
But
badly,
I mean, you're like involuntarily pooping. Like people thinking that a fart's coming, and then it's just like bleh, like a full poop in their pants and stuff. And it's just,
right, let's move on. Oh, God. So you were in there, this German man tugging on your balls. He cut your balls open. He found the right wire, like he was defusing some sort of bomb, and snipped the white wire, I guess, the cum wire.
The vas deferens, which is the bit that leads from your balls to your urethra, I guess, or the prostate or whatever. I don't know.
It's like, is it a big tube?
I don't know.
Does that pass through like your chota region?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not a doctor.
Well, I know that your balls don't contain the fluid.
No, that all comes from
the fluid
elsewhere.
I'm pretty sure your prostate provides the
I think it does
fluid.
some of it for sure.
Yeah.
But either way, he cuts the
from
cables.
all over.
He cuts the cables, cauterizes the ends.
Oh,
did he?
Yeah, because you don't want them
stink?
like. No,
Oh.
I didn't. There was no like. It wasn't like a soldering iron or anything. I don't know how he did it, but
yeah. I guess it's probably just a really small tube, right? So like you wouldn't even hear the sizzle.
It must be. But I mean, you've got to cauterize it because you don't want them like flopping around in there and rejoining because that would be a problem. So I guess they cauterize the ends and then they just close it up, but they don't put a stitch in. They just hold it together and put a bandage over, and that's it. And then he's like, "Right, you're off."
Really?
Yeah.
He just
Did he give you a big ice pack for your balls?
Yes. So the ice pack, you have to put an ice pack on your balls 20 minutes out of every hour for like 48 hours.
Jeez.
So the day of the operation and then really the 2 days following that.
You were going through a ton of frozen peas by the sounds of it.
Man, I think what you want to do is you want to get that ice pack on there, but then immediately when the ice pack is done, you want to have a laptop that's been on for like 2-3 hours and then get that bad boy onto your lap.
I just used a blowtorch. I just got a blowtorch on there.
Right.
Just to warm them up real quick.
Balls.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for the whole weekend, Mrs. F and the kids were ferrying food and drink up to me and ice packs. It was to any chaps out there who were thinking of having it done. I can only speak to my experience. Some fellas have a bad time with it, with a lot of bruising and stuff like that.
Sure, yeah.
I really didn't, and it was very sort of. It felt like you'd been kicked in the balls. Like there's a low-lying, I've been kicked in the balls pain. So you get, when you get kicked in the nuts, or you accidentally someone flicks them with a hand or something like that, and it's like that sharp pain, and then it's like a dull throbbing that spreads up your back.
You think it helps if you got like really small peanut testicles,
maybe I don't know,
really small ones,
or maybe they're just more focused. Maybe the pain would be more focused. I don't know.
Maybe,
sure. But yeah, so it was like a couple of days of feeling like, ugh.
Someone flicks your balls. With that.
Like a ball flicking.
I mean, that hasn't happened to me ever.
Really? Oh, it's very painful.
Okay, imagine this though. Imagine you got a full-size penis, right? Like, say you're 7 feet tall and you have a penis to match, like your, an average-sized penis for your height. I would say, right?
I'd say that's most people, but yeah.
But then imagine that you're all sack and you've just got 2 little peanut testicles in there as well.
Is micro balls a thing?
That's like some Dr. Seuss shit right there, right?
Like you just,
just like really, really small little balls, but like just a really drooping sack as well, and like a fairly large cock.
Micro gonads.
It's got to be a thing, right?
There's hypogonadism.
What's that?
Diminished functional activity of the gonads.
Oh, right.
There's nothing about them being big or small. Sorry.
Yeah.
But so that was it. It was like a couple of days of that, and then I've spent the week sort of taking it easy. Walking around is quite uncomfortable. I had to take the dog to the vet yesterday, and we walked down. I had to go quite slowly, and before that, I'd popped to the shop, and that was very slow because it's just they're very tender.
Right.
But really,
oh my god! Imagine if you had to take the dog to be neutered, and that was like the same.
You and your dog
together.
Yeah. Well, your dog's
each other.
Yeah.
She's a girl, but yes.
Yeah. Imagine you had a boy dog that was neutered and you were both sitting there and the dog had like a little ice pack for his where his balls used to be, and then you had like a man-sized ice pack for your balls.
We're just looking at each other.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. But,
I imagine you did you have like the ice pack like on your head and a thermometer in your mouth and stuff like the typical
cartoon.
I'm sick.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that was in cartoons for ages. I have never seen one of those.
No, what is it? Is it a water bottle or an ice pack?
I don't know. I assume it must be ice. But that was the staple. That
is the Looney Tunes way of conveying I'm sick, right?
It's like a bag. It looks like a sort of.
You got the big mouth thermometer, and then you've got like what looks like a water bottle for your head on top of your head.
It's got like a sort of spigot or something on top.
Yes.
But I've never seen one, and why you just keep the thermometer in all the time? I don't know. What are you hoping?
And it's always Elmer fucking Fudd with it on as well.
Always.
None of the other ones. It's always Elmer Fudd. Like, what's wrong with that guy? Well, what's right with Elmer Fudd?
Sickly lad. Yeah, fucking hell. We could do a whole episode on what the fuck is wrong with Elmer Fudd. I'm sure people would love to hear that.
He's a gormless cunt, isn't he? Jesus Christ.
You fucking gormless cunt, Elmer Fudd.
You fucking. Yeah, he is, though. What the hell is up with that guy?
In some news this week, I read that first of all, the new Batman movie is called Joker Folie à deux.
What?
Which,
Folie à deux. Folie à deux.
I don't know what that actually means.
I think it's like two people having a tumble.
Isn't that game for two?
Oh, it means madness.
Game for two.
Madness for two.
Oh, right.
And Lady Gaga's playing as Harley Quinn.
Okay.
Oh,
and,
okay.
Yeah, it's...
Well, I loved The Batman, so I'm really looking forward to...
I'm pretty sure that the last Batman movie I saw was the one with Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, I think it's sort of a follow-up to Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
I have not seen that. I've yet to see that one.
There was a Joker at the end of The Batman. I don't want to give anything away.
Oh.
But he's basically in the next cell, and he sort of... It's implied that it's the Joker, and it obviously is.
Sorry, I lied. The last Batman movie I saw was the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah,
The Batman is really good. It's probably my favorite Batman movie.
And Joker was good too, honestly.
Do you know what? I actually saw a current movie. I went on the weekend with my kids and my wife. We somehow managed to convince somebody to look after the baby, so we were able to take our two older kids to the movies.
What'd you see?
We went to see Puss in Boots.
Okay. Right. Yes, a few people on Discord have seen it. They said that the animation was very good.
It was, yeah. Do you know, it was all right. I had tremendously low expectations going in. So maybe that helped.
Right.
But it was actually pretty...
Which children did you take with you?
The two non-babies, yeah. Number 1 and number 2 went.
Do you name them that, like, number 1?
At this point, yeah. Yeah,
because my dad used to call me his number
thing
1 son.
Thing 1 and thing 2. And,
number 1 son, which always felt good to me. And then once he's like, yeah, because you're the first one. And I was like, oh, I'm not the best
he
one.
was like Picard and you were Riker. And which would have made your brother what? Geordie
number
LaForge.
2 son. Like the Pooh son.
Who was the second in command after Riker? Was it Lieutenant Data? What?
No,
how's the...
Well, so when there was a point where Riker and Picard were off the ship and Data was the next in command.
Yeah, because Lieutenant would be the next one, right?
Yeah, but there's also...
But he's a robot.
Lieutenant Geordie LaForge, and it's Lieutenant Worf, I think. So it's not about that. It's like he just had seniority, but he was
but Geordie LaForge was a lieutenant in the engineering department, and...
Right. And Worf was security.
And Worf was the Shields guy, right?
Yeah. So, well, he was head of security, actually.
Come on, let's be real here.
Let's dress it up. He did other stuff. He didn't just do
Shields guy.
He was also ideas that get shot down guy. Like, that was his other thing.
Yeah.
Perhaps we could fire a volley of photon torpedoes, Captain. All right, Mr. Wolf, enough out of you.
Shut the fuck up,
Enough
Worf.
out of you, Wolf.
Yeah.
And the Data turns around and gives him a little smile, like, I'm third in command. I am third in command, Worf.
Yeah.
There's an episode where he has to tell Worf not to stop being a dick.
Mm-hmm.
And because Worf is, like, making fun of Data's shitty captaining in his eyes. And he pulls him aside and says, "You better fucking man up and be my second."
Fall in line, yeah.
Because he's the fourth in command would be Worf, because he becomes second officer to Data when he's in charge. I don't know why I'm talking about this so much, but I fucking love Star Trek.
I love Star Trek too.
It is interesting. So I went to see Puss in Boots and it was all right. There's a very you guys probably won't even see the movie, so I can mention it. But there's the bad guy in it is Jack Horner. You know, the pie. It's all like fairy tale based, right? Because it's all a spin-off from Shrek and Far Away and all that stuff. So little Jack Horner is the big bad guy, and he has this like magical bag with all of these sort of fantasy. Fairy tale based things, like he's got like a witch's broom in there, and he's got a magic mirror and all this stuff. And at one point he opens up a they need to do something where somehow a swarm of locusts is going to help him, right? So he opens this little box, and inside there's this glowing locust, and he's like, "Okay, my locusts, do your thing or whatever." And then the sort of like aura fades away from this locust, and it's like this Jiminy Cricket character with like the voice, and this guy kind of made the whole movie, honestly. Like his lines were so fucking funny. Like he was just Jiminy Cricket from Pinocchio, how he's like
right.
sit on your shoulder and judging you the whole time. And like one of his lines is like somebody's like, what's the point of you? And he's like, well, I exist to judge you and sit on your shoulder and give you guidance and all this stuff. And there's this one line at one point where Jack Horner is threatening to shoot a puppy dog in the face with something.
Jesus.
And this little Jiminy Cricket guy goes, come on, Jack, you're not gonna shoot a puppy in the face, are you? It was fucking really good, actually. Like all the lines of the Jiminy Cricket guy were really fucking funny, actually. And the rest of the movie was like pretty tolerable as well. It wasn't too bad, you know?
Yeah, well, they've always done this, though. Ever since Shrek, they've always put in bits for the parents. You know, I actually ended up watching some Bluey this week because...
How? What context would you ever watch it?
Well, Pedguin and his daughter were around in the office, and so he just put it on the TV. And,
sure.
And I was just like... Evie, I was like wrapped. It's like sucked into the episode.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, they're like weirdly compelling.
They're only like 5 minutes long as well. So they have these really little simple stories with like
they have this kind of utopian Australian existence where they're just entirely tolerant of all of the chaos that the children go through. They have supernatural patience.
The dad in it is just this super dad, and everybody's like, oh, isn't the dad in Bluey Gray? It's like, yeah. Try to think of one dad you know who's actually like that, because there's none. Like
there are a few,
they're all sitting at the playground on their phones and stuff.
There are a few good moments where the parents like kind of exasperatedly roll their eyes at each other and stuff, and you realize that's in there for the parents to see, kind of thing. I don't know, I appreciate it. So no, the Batman anecdote was that they've not been. There was a news article that came out that they're filming these long set pieces right over like 2 hours, and as a result, they're like. Have these really strict rules on set, like no bathroom breaks, no drinking water for the extras. Do you see what I mean? Like some sort of just the idea of these draconian rules. But I think it's more like it sounds reasonable to like do 2 hours nonstop. I don't know. But if someone needs to pee or poo, like whatever, like you can't just like you just gotta let them go, man. Like,
depends on who it is, though, because if it's somebody who's got to fish that turd out of their ass with their fingers, they're going to take a while.
Right. Okay. Well,
and if
that person's not going to get their job back if they can't. They don't eat a proper diet for a full day of filming.
What took you so long in there, Buster?
Look after yourself. You're an actor. You got these actors keep themselves in incredible shape. You got the extras got to do it too.
I suppose, yeah.
What else happened in the news? Someone else sent me another article. Oh yeah, there was because I was thinking about your vasectomy, P-Flex. I saw an article about how they're actually making a birth control pill for men.
Yeah.
So maybe you didn't need to have your balls cut off at all.
Well, I mean, look, I like I said, I think I said it last time. The burden of birth control has been on Mrs. F for about 30 years. So it's my time to chip in and do something. My dad actually said probably the nicest thing he's ever said to me when we were talking about this, because he's had one a good few years ago now. And he said to me, "You've made a manly choice."
Oh,
I thought that was very. I mean, that's obviously quite a dated piece of praise, but it meant a lot.
I think it's like getting your eyes lasered instead of having to wear glasses, or
Sure.
It's
but I couldn't do that. I was fully expecting him to say, "I'm sorry, Mr. Forsyth, your balls are too tiny and I cannot find the cables. It's a mess in there, so you will have to go. Goodbye, big baby."
See, I like two wrinkled raisins.
Yeah, two tiny raisins.
So I wanted to mention one other thing as well before you got any more for us. I don't know if you saw the news this week that Roald Dahl books are being slightly censored because they're a bit old-fashioned and they use. I mean,
apparently he was a raging anti-Semite as well, which I was not aware of either. Because it's one of Roald Dahl for me is one of those guys that I know very little of. I didn't even know what he looked like. I was just aware of his name and his books, but I knew nothing else about him. But
no, I think that's probably for the best.
Add him to the pile of controversial, problematic
that is
literary.
Slightly older definitely is on the chance of becoming.
I do find it interesting that they're more concerned with removing references to people being ugly from those books than they are with saying maybe we shouldn't show these books to kids written by a man who's a massive anti-Semite. I mean, you can have a double standard if you want, and that clearly is one. Because you're separating the art from the artist at that point, which apparently you're not meant to do. But then they're also saying, oh, you can't call someone ugly in a book for kids.
Ugly and fat as well is
right,
now
so
being,
that has to
is
go.
a word that is now being actively phased out.
Exactly, but they're implying
across the board.
Fat, ugly kids are going to have a problem with that book.
Well, we don't typically use that kind of language though these days, do we? We're not. I mean,
kids do. Have you heard kids?
Oh my god, kids are unbelievable. Sure. This stuff that they're
brutal.
Say. Yeah,
but certainly, I think that in a sense, I don't think a modern kids book. I think it would be. Look, I mean, Roald Dahl has always been kind of mean-spirited, right?
It
was kind of like it was quite cruel, and as a result, I mean, Matilda. Some of these books. They were a bit kind of edgy, definitely, as kids' books before, right? And
they were written
dark in places.
They were, yeah. That's what I loved about it. Because the thing is, no books are written for kids like that.
No, a lot of fairy tales were fairly dark as well. But
exactly.
But listen to this. My son came home the other day from school, and he said, "Oh yeah, like some kid in my class pushed over another kid in my class, like when we were on break or whatever." And we were like, "Oh yeah," and he's like, we said, "Oh, did they get in trouble or whatever?" No, the teacher didn't see it. So, well, what happened? Like, what happened after, because it was his friend that got pushed over. He said, what happened? What did your friend do? And he said, oh, he got up and he told him off. And we were like, okay, well, what did he say? He said, oh, can I say it? And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, like, what's the worst he's going to say? He's like, fuck off, you cunt. All right, I guess.
Well, he probably got
11-year-old kids.
Got that from a Roald Dahl book, mate.
It probably listens to this podcast. I mean, it's unbelievable, though. I mean, like, I think fat is the least of our problems if 11-year-olds are saying that to each other.
I just think it's just this idea that reading that in a book is going to make kids a certain way. I just think it's ridiculous.
I thought he was going to come back and just say something like,
how dare you, sir?
Get lost, bozo, or something like that. I guess I
impugned my honor.
I grew up in the 1830s, so things were a little bit different back then.
Why, you bozo, sir? How dare you push me to the ground?
Yeah.
Sorry, I shall call you a fucking cunt. That shall be the end of it.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess the other kid was so shocked that was the end of the fight. Then
I don't even think he was, though. That's the worst part of it. I think he just gave him a volley back of equally colorful language. So they're
getting to that age. This is the age when they start to not all be friends because they're just in the same class. Like when they're little. They can get along with all the other kids. Now they're fucking hate that kid. He's a twat.
Yes,
like, fair enough.
We're noticing this now, yeah.
Yeah, welcome to growing up. Because as you grow up, instead of having more friends, you're going to have fewer friends. Because you're going to dislike people more and more. And you're going to realize that a lot of people are assholes and think, I don't fucking like this person. Much like the email I had, Sips, to balance out the... we won't say the name of the state.
Oh, is it Wisconsin again? Is it Pennsylvania this time?
No, we're moving on.
All right, okay.
I had a hate mail.
Holy crap.
Shut the fuck up about adults going to Disney.
Oh,
same logic, apparently, can be applied to adults enjoying video games. I grew up poor. I never had the chance to experience any of it. I'm planning to go as an adult and don't want any bald old men telling me, you shouldn't go as an adult.
I mean, fair enough,
sound
man.
dumb.
Jeez.
Follow up. Ray, last email. I would give a more cohesive argument, but it's not worth it for someone so judgmental, that's two separate words, and close-minded. Focus on yourself instead of other people's enjoyment. All right, Caleb, first of all, there are a lot of video games made specifically for adults. There are a lot of theme parks made specifically for adults. Yeah. You're going to one made specifically for kids. You're going to one made specifically for kids. And my point is, I grew up poor and didn't go to Disney World. I've never been. It doesn't mean I have to go as an adult. So I think you're full of shit. There's your fucking logic, buddy.
Oh, my God.
Carry on.
This is always going to be a controversial point, though.
You're right,
There is an eternal battle between people who have kids and people who choose not to have kids, and the judgments surrounding that.
Well,
this
listen,
has nothing to do with
whether
that.
there
It's
should
nothing
be
to
a
do with that.
separate, there
it's not
should
to
be a
do with
separate
that.
theater for adults to enjoy Pixar films, and then one for kids and adults, and all of that. I think some of that is rooted back in that email that Flax got, though. Like, not necessarily saying that it's only rooted specifically in I was too poor to go to Disney World, so that's why I'm going as an adult.
I think it's integrated into our culture.
I think if
that
you
there's
had a childhood,
something wrong with it, and it's like almost like a signifier.
Yeah, no, sure,
of,
but if you had a childhood that wasn't ideal or idyllic, where you had like all these things that were for you as a child and you were left to just be a child, if you had like a rough childhood and you missed out on things like that, you might seek them out as an adult, or be more likely to seek them out as an adult, right? As a comforting thing or whatever.
I don't think that's necessarily a good excuse to say, oh, I'm going because I couldn't go when I was a kid. There were a lot of things I didn't do as a kid, and I don't now go back and do them as if I'm trying to catch up.
No,
because
I
as
didn't
an
work
adult,
in a mine.
It's a very
as a kid.
specific mental state to be in.
I know,
to do that
the
as
mental
well,
state
right?
is you really like Disney, and as far as I'm concerned, that stuff is for kids. And if you watch an actual Disney film,
Yeah,
some of them are good. Don't get me wrong, they're enjoyable, but I'm enjoying them as an adult, not as a child who's like completely swept away by it and loves to. I fucking hate Mickey Mouse. He's a cunt. What the fuck does Mickey Mouse do for me? Or Goofy or any of these twats? I fucking hate them. And they're gonna be fucking. They're gonna be fucking everywhere at Disney World. The music pisses me off. I don't want to be a fucking princess. I don't
but
like
I
Mickey
think
Mouse
you have
and
a
Goofy. All
slightly
those
twisted
lads.
idea
There's
of
not
what
even
Disney.
good rides.
Have you not been to Disney?
Oh,
at
some of
all?
the rides are actually pretty good.
Is
They're
it
fun.
is it comparative comparable to like Six Flags or some shit
No,
like that, where
no.
I thought I was gonna die on one of the rides? That's a ride for a grown up.
No,
The kids' rides are for kids. That's the
No,
point.
there's
They're
not
like
just teacups. There's
not
loads
like
of stuff
that.
for adults.
It's not like a fairground.
It's the half the thing is built for the parents, much like Puss in Boots. Do you know what I mean? It's
Not
it's
one of the reviews I've read on TripAdvisor.
Do you
Not
think
much
that
there
parents,
to do for adults.
Do you think parents
Oh
would
my
like?
god, man!
Do you think that they would come back year after year with their kids if there was nothing for them to do and it was this terrible, childish experience?
So my impression of Disney is that a lot of it is theme based rather
It is very
than
themed, yeah.
rides.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what you're
sure.
really doing is walking around and it's like, oh, it's the Magic Castle, and oh, it's this bit from there, and there's some animatronic Disney characters, and there's people dressed as Disney characters, and it's all very.
It's
aimed at
surprisingly well done, though. It's not. It doesn't feel
I
cheap.
don't doubt that
or
it's well
anything,
done.
you know?
It's a big money maker,
Yeah.
and it's like their flagship thing. If Disney World started to suck, Disney's share price would definitely go down because
I think if you went,
this is
you'd
like
have
their
a terrific
flagship.
time. You'd say, I was
doubt
surprised to enjoy it so much, and I want to go back.
Look, I'm happy to be surprised. All I'm saying is that if you're seeking it out, your excuses are
Let's start
very
a
poor.
Patreon to send P Flax to Disney.
No, please don't.
Let's
Please
get a
don't.
fundraiser going. Before we continue, today's episode is sponsored by Honey, the easy way to save when shopping on your phone or computer. I hate getting to the checkout window and paying full price for stuff, especially when there's a coupon code box there demanding me to scour the internet and search for one, because I know that there'll be a 10% off somewhere. But thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. It does all the work for you. Simply find stuff and you click apply coupons and it will put them in. It's great. I used it this week when I was buying some Warhammer terrain and I saved about 15 quid. Very happy that was just on in the background. It works on desktop, iPhone, Safari. Very easy to use, just automatic. And if you don't already have it, you could be straight up missing out on savings. You can also use our link to support this show and get PayPal Honey for free at joinhoney.com/Triforce. That's joinhoney.com/Triforce.
I went to Disney World. I went to Disneyland Paris when I was I must have been like 23, 24 with my wife, who'd never been.
Right.
And we didn't have kids or anything at the time. And we didn't go specifically to Paris just to go there. We were in Paris already and just said, let's go there and check it out for the day. I remember going to Disney when I was a kid and I liked it. You'd probably like it, or if you've never seen it, it would be worth seeing. We went for the day and it sucked, but it didn't suck because it was Disney. It sucked because it was in the winter and it was raining and we were fucking drenched and freezing cold and we had no money either.
Right.
So we had to stand outside for most of it. And so, I mean, it wasn't the greatest experience.
But that's exceptional.
I don't think my wife
described.
looks back and thinks, "Oh yeah, shit, that was an ideal Disney experience or whatever." But we've been since with our kids, and she likes it for the kids, sort of thing. Like,
right.
she's not
Like
mad
you
into Disney
enjoy
or anything.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Vociferous. Is
And
it
she
not
likes
vociferous?
like
Vicariously.
yeah, and there's loads of like shopping to do there that's stuff that you can really only get at the parks, like because they make it exclusive for it's harder to get. You can get it off eBay or whatever, but it's not like mass market. You can't just buy stuff off Amazon or whatever. A lot of it is like exclusive for the parks sort of thing. So she likes looking around at that kind of stuff, and my kids like looking around at all that kind of stuff and stuff too. It's not bad. It's like, I think if you're going somewhere with kids, like, I don't understand the whole like, well, there's not much for adults to do. I'm not fucking doing anything anyway. Like, I'm taking my kids somewhere. I'm already massively inconvenienced and put out, and I don't want to be there.
Right, but hold on.
I don't need anything to do.
But you're taking your kids there. That's the point.
Yeah.
It's like we all as parents do stuff with our kids where it's really just not for us.
Nah.
But I love my kids, and so I want to take them to places where they're having fun, and I get pleasure from seeing them having fun.
Exactly.
That makes me happy.
That's it. I would never leave a place and be like, oh, fuck, there wasn't much for adults there to do.
Right, exactly.
Because I'm not even going there in the first place for myself. Like, I've already resigned myself to not having that great of a time personally. Like,
right.
I mean, I'm overjoyed for my kids to be having a great time and having a great experience and stuff, for sure. I love that. But fuck me, I'm not going to Disney World because I want to go to a good restaurant or something like that. Like, Jesus Christ.
Well, I know, but I think that changes, right? Your kids are some still on that edge of, like you said, 11. Like, it's getting to the point with your eldest kid, and I'm sure you're the same, P-Flex, with both of your kids, that you've transitioned into family stuff, right? That isn't super. It's not like you're taking your daughter to the princess castle and it's the most tedious nightmare ever.
Right.
You're actually doing things that are fun together, like your Alton Towers trip, or like watching a family movie. Like it doesn't have to be.
It was Thorpe Park, not Alton Towers, but yes,
Alton Towers is
up north.
There's a lot of like kind of
there's stuff that they can do that we can both enjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, Mrs. F takes our youngest loves mysteries. Don't ask me why. She loves anything to do with mysteries. So she loves like whodunits and all that kind of stuff. Loves it. They went to see The Mousetrap, which is like the longest running play in the West End. It's like fucking 60 years this thing's been running. And she absolutely loved it. They went to see Witness for the Prosecution, which is a play about, it's like a legal sort of play and drama set in a courtroom.
Like something that kids would really want to go to, for sure.
It. It's exactly her cup of tea. She loves it. Really. She's super, super into it. Now, you couldn't take a 4-year-old to that. No. But you could take an 11-year-old who's interested in it to that. And Mrs. F also enjoyed both of these things. So as they get older, you're going to see films, you're going to the theater, you're going to things with a kid.
Yeah.
As they get older,
I get that.
You're both enjoying it rather than just you enjoying that they're enjoying it, which is
you're
great.
There with them and you're both having a good time.
Exactly.
There's definitely things like that exist even now with like my kids, but it's little things, like it's like we'll get lunch somewhere that we always get lunch, but everybody loves going there, you know, and like, but it's not like we don't sit down in the restaurant. Like we always get it, and then we like find a bench somewhere and eat it. But it's just like it's like those little things, right? And then I like that too because I get to eat.
It's weird to me that the relationship that you have with your kids as they get older is they stop being, and I don't mean any offense to little kids when I say this, a burden, which they are in a lot of ways. It's a huge burden that you have to bear looking after little children. It's a burden that you bear willingly and you really do enjoy it. But a lot of the time, and any parent will tell you this, it is hard fucking work. And you just have had enough.
Yeah,
and quite often it's like, oh my god, my head, and I'm just tired all the time.
It's like any other job. 5 o'clock, you clock out, you're done.
Right.
Fuck me, man. The baby was up till like midnight last night. Just wouldn't sleep. Just up. And like you can't do shit when the baby's up. You can't, like, we were trying to watch a show. You can't, like, you know, because she's like very demanding of like your attention. And like the minute you don't look at her, she's about to fall off a couch or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's like it is hard work. Yeah, it is.
But then they get older, and then it's like, for example, the other day, my eldest comes to me and she says, "We're studying World War I at school. Could we watch a movie called 1917?" Which is like, it's meant to be a World War I movie. I was like, absolutely love. I've seen that film. It's really good.
Yeah,
it's like the single shot film.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
It's really, really, really good.
It's pretty brutal.
It is pretty brutal. She said to me, Will you watch it with me? I was like, absolutely, I'll watch it with you. I forewarned her. It's pretty brutal, and you know, it's going to be a hard watch. She was like, that's fine. We watched it. We were crying our eyes out all the way through because it's a very emotional movie.
Sure.
Multiple times we're crying. The film ends. She turns to me. She goes, "Oh, I haven't cried that much since The Green Mile," which is another film that she watched. And I was like, I know, it's hard work.
That's classic.
I know.
The shit the kids say,
Very brutal
It's so
film.
funny.
Oh, that is funny.
Because we watched The Green Mile, like, I think it was was it last year or the year before when we were on holiday? I said, let's watch a movie that we'll all enjoy. It's a long movie, but I think you guys will really like it. And they did. They loved The Green Mile. And we haven't watched Shawshank with them yet.
Oh yeah, Shawshank would be a good
very
one.
similar vibe, same director, I think. Is it Frank Darabont? I think it was. But obviously both Stephen King sort of books. Yeah, so they were in floods of tears like the entire movie.
Oh, that's funny.
And I was like, "Are you guys all right?" They're like, "Yeah, we're okay." Like they were really loving it. Because the thing is, as they start to get older, the things that they watch, they empathize with the characters, which is not something that kids do so much. The characters are challenging because sometimes the person that you're watching is doing something that's kind of wrong and bad, and you sort of think, why are they doing that? And that you're learning that the characters develop and change through the course of the story, and then they've changed by the end of it and all the rest of it, and you sort of start to understand that it's more complicated than just spot see ball, spot pick up ball, so that their appreciation for things grows.
Yeah.
And then you can start watching things with them that are really challenging, like The Thing, which I watched with the girls the other week.
Oh my god.
I can't remember if I mentioned this. I said we should watch a horror movie because Mrs. F was out. I think she was away for the weekend actually, and we always watch a really scary movie when it's just us in the house because they're always like, "Daddy, can we watch something scary?" I was like, "Yeah, sure," because I'm like the bad parent,
Yeah.
So I was like, "What is a classic horror movie that I loved when I was a kid that I saw? I would have seen it when I was about 13 or 14."
Oh,
and
God.
I thought it's probably pretty dated for them by now because there's no CGI. And it is scary, but it's mainly a sort of tension thing with gore rather than horror. They were not phased at all. Like there's a scene in that where the guy tries to use electric paddles on a guy's chest, and the guy's chest opens up and bites his arms off.
Oh,
and I was like, I remember that as a kid thinking, God, that was horrific. It was so good. The only bits they were scared about were the bit where they cut their thumbs to get some blood out and the bit where they take blood with a needle.
God,
those are the bits that they had to look away. The rest of it, they were not scared at all. So they were like, kids these days, I guess, are just immune to that kind of horror movie. So I'm gonna have to think very hard because I don't want to show them something.
Yeah,
really
show them
scary.
John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. That was our little kid horror movie.
Such a bad movie,
it's
man.
so
I
bad,
love
yeah.
it, but it's so
Also,
bad.
Body Parts and what was that other one? There's another one. Body Parts. Oh yeah, Candyman. Remember you?
So Candyman was definitely, they're aware of Candyman because I think there was another one made that was along the same
vibe. You gotta say Candyman 3 times in the mirror at midnight
a mirror,
or
right?
something. Yeah.
But is it like Bloody Mary is another one?
That's another one. Yeah,
they made a movie.
There's really so much now. When we were kids, like it felt like there wasn't this back library of stuff that was watchable, right? And all we couldn't
it felt
get
way
hold
more
of it.
dated.
Listen to this. The other day, similar to you, Flex, my wife took my younger daughter, and the baby for a walk. It was really nice weather. My son was like, "I don't really feel like going. Can I just stay here?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure. Dad will stay with you." And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And then they left, and I was like, we should watch something. We have the house and the TV to ourselves. You don't have your younger sisters are here. Let's watch Indiana Jones. And he's like,
right.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, what's that? And I was like, oh, it's awesome. He's this adventurer. He's got a whip and a hat and everything. I loved it when I was a kid. There's like 4 movies
He's
now.
my hero. He was my hero.
I loved it.
Absolutely.
And so I was saying, like, he goes into like these old temples and like there's like insects and like dead bodies and stuff. And he's like, oh, okay. Like you could tell he was like getting a bit scared and stuff. And he's like, yeah, that sounds great. So I find it on Netflix or Prime or whatever. They have like all the movies. Shit, nice. Okay, so I put Raiders of the Lost Ark on.
Oh,
start it, and you know at the start it has like the Columbia Pictures woman holding the fucking torch or whatever, but it's like the old one. And he's like,
yeah.
Oh no. I was like, what? He's like, oh, this is gonna be some rubbish old movie, isn't it? And I was like, come on, you can't say that about
it was
Indiana Jones.
1981, right? So it was.
I know.
It was made,
and then
2 years before I was born.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to the fucking mailbag and arsey
can't
comments
wait.
we get.
Yeah. Well, you get the filtered version.
I think I'm not feeling well enough to do one of those.
Very few Wisconsin emails this week.
Oh, good.
Thank God.
Good.
We'd like to move
All
on.
right.
I'm not going to read any more out. We're going to move on.
We've bandaged the wound.
We have. It's over. It's healing nicely.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.